All right, go ahead and start winding down the new edition I just got, bro. I just put that stuff together. That was a new low fronts edition that was just popping up on Form Function. I'm not even sure they still have any available, but I will go ahead and check. Let me see if I can pull that up for you guys, because dude, the low front costs at least they're all sold out, dude. They cost like 20 SOL a piece. So I was able to snag one of these editions. There's only 30 in there for 2.5 SOL. So if you guys like that video, make sure you check out low fronts. I already gave the alpha on low fronts a few streams ago. I want to say it was episode 5, but we will check. But joining me as always is Dorian. Dorian, what is going on, my guy? How you doing today?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Happy to be back another day. But before we kick anything off, I want to thank Bison. Congratulate Bison, because he has finally received his long-awaited youth list. So
That's
big
right.
shout out to you, man.
Yeah, man. It was definitely a Sunday surprise. I kind of came to grips with it. Like, I wasn't sure what was going on with youths. I saw that they were supposed to mint this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And I was sitting there. I'm like, that's it. I might not get it. So I just kind of came to grips with it, and I tweeted out something literally the day before that said, I'm just gonna do better. That's all I'm gonna do. If I don't get youths, I'm just gonna do better. And lo and behold, there you go. So first off, I appreciate everybody for shouting me out, dude. I got so much support, as far as I know Dorian did too. But man. Look, whenever Frank or somebody from the team was like, who do you think deserves youth list? I didn't see that stuff. I didn't message anybody. I appreciate all you guys, seriously, for nominating us and just kind of sharing the alpha on us. And we do have Joe here with us. It may just be a voice, because I'm not sure if Joe's touching grass or not. So let's bring Joe on here. Joe, how you doing, brother?
Hey guys, Joe? Can you hear me loud and clear? Audio's good?
We can hear you loud and clear, bro.
All right, so no ugly mug today, guys. No worries. I'm black today. Bison told me is getting enough. It was too ugly for stream. No, I'm just kidding. I'm here. I'm unfortunately in the worst traffic of my life right now, bumper to bumper. So I'm gonna be just audio today, guys.
That's okay. No worries, bro. Things happen, and we'll hold down the fort. I'm just happy you joined us, man.
Yeah, same here, man.
Couldn't miss it, man. I missed you guys. I was looking forward to this since last Thursday, man.
It's always the best part of my week, honestly. So, yeah, also, just a little heads up for everybody. Joe's face is beautiful. I'm the only one who's seen it with Dorian. So, yeah, don't let him confuse you. There's a beautiful face underneath that baklava, dude. So, anyways, let's get into it, dude. There's been so much that's transpired over the past, 4 or 5 days, right? Since we last streamed. A ton. We got a ton to get into today, guys. So one, if you could, please visit the YouTube channel, drop us a sub, drop us a comment, drop us a like, all that good stuff. It helps us grow the channel tremendously, as well as on Twitter. Go ahead and retweet the stream. We do stream on Twitter, as well as we now have an official RareFUD Radio Twitter account. We will be starting streams from there as well. So you have multiple places to catch us. Don't worry about a thing. We're going to eventually start downloading these audio recordings, so you'll have a podcast version of this as well. We are trying to make sure that we are covering every medium possible when it comes to RareFUD Radio as we continue to build this stuff out. So let's get into today's show, because there's a lot to cover. But first off, let's get into the market update, because we have a lot to talk about. SOL volume is pumping, and this is mainly off the back of DeGods. Thank you, DeGods. Had a 65K SOL volume day in one day, which is unreal. That's like initial mint quality volume right there. So having that in one day, especially in a bear market, no less, like everything else is down bad except for ABC and DeGods as far as volume. And so far, it seems to have been bringing up the market. We had 100K SOL volume day. We're at 87K right now on Magic Eden for the 24 hours. and we have had 515K sold volume over the past 7 days. This feels like a good sign. It is what we've been calling a while on the stream, that Utes and all the hype that comes with it is really going to elevate the market in itself. Dorian, let's start with you. How are you feeling about the market right now?
Man, I'm finally feeling bullish after the past couple months where I've been like down and I've been like, man, it's just like there's nothing out there. I remember when we were scraping content, trying like, what are we going to talk about on today's show? Guess what? We don't have that problem anymore. It's just like DeGods is bringing in so much attention to the Solana ecosystem. It's insane. I put out a tweet the other day saying that I think I'm willing to bet that Utes breaks about a 250 SOL floor within the couple days after minting, because we saw OK Bears bring in so much liquidity from the ETH side. And look what that did. OK Bears doesn't even remotely compare to what Frank has set up and done with Utes, man. We're going to see so much liquidity pour into the space. I think after like people start taking profits, it's like, boom, bull runs back on, man. So it's like before it's like, Utes start rolling out the Ute list and we're getting closer to mint. I'm like, oh, I can't see Utes kicking off the bull run. Nope, I can definitely see Utes kicking off the bull run.
Right. Yeah, Joe, how you feeling, bro? How you doing over there?
Oh man, we're doing just wonderful. It's just wonderful what we're doing here. The ecosystem itself, what I'm very bullish on the past week or two, I've been in a lot of ETH-based spaces with a lot of Bored Ape Yacht Club, like, Alexander's of the ETH space, right? This very, hosting 100 to plus 200, 300, 400 people in all their spaces. And literally every space they've had is Ute-based, DeGod based, and they're not even, it's ETH spaces are so much different. Solana spaces, we base our spaces in a comedic valor almost, right? We're very lighthearted. We make a lot of jokes, and we do get down to the nuts and bolts eventually. ETH like to break it down pretty quickly, and I like to see that they're asking the right questions, right? You can see this liquidity coming over, but it's not stupid liquidity. It's smart. They have an entry, they have an exit, or they have a game plan. So I'm excited, man. It's only a positive for the space, like Dorian and Bison have been preaching. And if you want to listen to a few of our other episodes, they both have given you great plays to start loading up on now. And you might have missed a few already, but yeah, man, it's just exciting space time for the place. The bear, we're building in the bear right now so unbelievably. I can't wait for the next bull.
Yeah, well said, Joe. Well said. Yeah, no, Look, I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic, right? I don't want to. It's exactly what I did last night. I actually sold the remaining dust bag I had at 375. I just bought in at 3.1 again, so I did, catch a little bit of spread there. I just kind of looked at the charts. I saw, it's sometimes you guys get these events, and we'll talk about them soon, where you have the Twitter account going down, you have a little bit of panic in the market, and you see people emotionally getting caught up in things. When you look at things level-headed, I said, I probably won't re-enter dust last night, but when things like this happen and they give you a nice capitulation candle, where you're kind of retesting what I would consider a nice resistance flip support, that gives you a good entry. So I bought back in at 3.1. I captured a little bit of spread on some profit, and then we're sitting nice. So I actually used that profit to buy that low front edition too. So it's one of those things where I keep adding to the bag, bro. It's nice. So it is nice to see the market kind of getting some steam back. And I will say one thing I was wrong on is that I thought Utes was going to pull liquidity from all these other projects. We're actually seeing a lot of these other projects pump. So I will wholeheartedly, there's two things I will admit I was wrong on in this stream is ABC and these big blue chips kind of getting liquidity sucked out of them to go towards Utes. Dorian, what did you have to say?
Yeah, man, I don't think you were wrong on that, man. I just think that time has already come and gone. We saw these blue chips already pull back like massively, dude. I'm talking about hard. Like Soul Gods was back at what, 8? Not a couple weeks ago. So it's just like, I don't think that you're wrong about the pullback happening. I think it's already happened and people are already like starting to rotate liquidity elsewhere. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's true. But, I'm looking at some of these, I would say NFTs. You're right. I think we called it so where, there was that period, right, where we did have that pullback and there's a lot of anticipation. But I think the fact that Utes has been put off so much has kind of disturbed the timeline where it was going to be in June and July, August, and now we're looking August 33rd, right? So yeah, I'm excited. It looks like the market is springing back to life. We have some winners here that nobody seems to be talking about enough. One is Blocksmith Labs, has quietly done a 2x over the past week. We have Stoned Ape Crew, which has rejoined its ranks. It was down to like 12 SOL or something, like 13 SOL, and now did rise about to 42, I want to say, and now is kind of topped off at 29. So we're seeing a little bit of pullback there. It's nice to see some of these old forgotten blue chips, right? Gain back some life. So I think the art rework with Blocksmith is definitely a factor. We've seen Forge do really well. And we've seen Stoned Ape Crew with their Puff. Puff, it was actually a big mover over the weekend as well. These SPL tokens are popping off right now. Joe, I want to kick it to you. Do you have any SPL plays that you are looking at right now? Because it seems to be a hot commodity these days. It's not only dust, but we have Scrap, which we called on stream. We had Forge, and we have Puff. Yes. So what are you looking at, Joe?
So let's shout out Dorian for the Scrap play, right? Definitely, that was huge play. So not financial advice. I picked up a small bag of Forge, I think around 40 cents. Just because I believe in the devs. I mean, they started with Frank. They're immaculate devs. Their back end, everything, their UX, everything's beautiful. You can't fade them. But like you said, Dorian, I mean, I think I even sat on my hands too long, right? For my entries in BSL, my entries in Taiyo, my entries in all these plays. So like now my head kind of shifts to the Joe never FOMOing mode. So I'm actually looking for those undervalued plays, but even those are popping off with the ones that Bison, right? Cyber Samurai and Remnants and all these other small plays that could be such a big play. Liberty Square. I mean, there's so many more plays than the blue chips that we know, right? Than all these big ones, right? There's still so many good teams that are here in the bear that don't have the market cap, but are hungry. And those are the teams that I'm excited for.
Yeah. One, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Curve. Coach Curve over here said big win on Scrap, bought the bottom at 0.26 and sold at 0.8. Let's go, Curve.
Wow.
I love to hear
awesome.
You love to hear it.
Absolutely awesome.
It's always hard to kind of hear advice that we say on RareFUD Radio. Take it to heart and not just FOMO in, but really, I mean, like that's dude, 0.26 is like pretty much the Pico bottom that we saw. So and then selling it at 0.8, we've seen a pullback on it today, and I kind of tweeted out, but I also shouted out to Dorian as well that we would see a pullback today, solely because Taiyo's scrap was unlocking. A lot of Taiyo's scrap was unlocking today. So we tend to see a lot of Taiyo's take profit on that. It does help their cost basis as far as their investment in Taiyo goes. So we're seeing good movement on Liberty Square, is seeing solid moves up. We are at 2.59 there, which is nice because it keeps pulling back to like this 1.8 to 2.2 range seems to be a really good buying zone, and just supply keeps getting gobbled up. And I keep seeing so many notable names continue to buy Liberty Square that it's hard not to be bullish in the long run. You just have to have a little patience. I thought it would play out a little bit better by now, honestly. I mean, like I really do think that they should be like up at 4 or 5 SOL at least, but no worries. This is why patience plays a key role in this. But yeah, we're seeing Jacan do, decent numbers. Remnants, we just had a recent update with them, and the game is so much better now. I will tell you wholeheartedly, it is so much easier to play. You don't have like inventory management. It's all tokenized resources, which is again another first for blockchain gaming. It's very easy to upgrade your items now. Very easy to break them down. It's a lot quicker because there's tokenized resources. So the game feels a lot smoother, and I know where it's headed. It is definitely the blockchain game that I'm bullish on. I do want to touch up real quick, Dorian, before we move into some of the topics today. You mentioned Soul Gods. Now, everybody who I've talked with knows my stance on them. I did have them a while back on the brand ecosystems to buy in one of my YouTube channels. They were right up there with Famous Fox, Taiyo, and Catalina Whales. I held them in high esteem, but one thing that's kind of talking to me is Soul Gods itself seems cool, right? They got some sort of staking mechanisms and stuff like that. But Hex is one of those guys that he keeps tweeting out the super bullish stuff, like we're going to be the marvel of blockchains and stuff like that. And I haven't seen enough delivering on it. It's kind of it's one of those things that's a key example of weaponized anticipation. We talk about it all the time here, that he's very good at building up anticipation. But then we start seeing stuff like the fracture, the bridged, right? That's their lower collection, where they have these missions pop up, and they've been very like blasé. From what I've heard from the community, they don't even touch some of these other gamified platforms like Shin Sengoku, like Remnants, or anything like that. Dorian, do you have any insight as to why this is popping off so much?
Yeah. Man, the only thing I have to attribute to is the community, man. The people who love Soul Gods in that community, they love it, man.
They do.
And it's like, that's a huge driver. It's like, regardless if it's like there might be some issues like on the execution side, as long as the community still believes in it, the price reflects that. So I think it's like, they're slow to execute, but if the community still believes in it, I mean, that's all that really matters in the end of the day. And like, we criticize, like, Soul Gods hit like what, 60, 70 soul last cycle?
Yeah.
And now then it pulled back as low. I think I saw it at 12, but I heard rumors of like 8. But it's just like, I don't say that the project was failing at that point. I mean, everything was down bad. But as soon as you saw the market rebound, that rebounded as well. So it's like, it's like, I do like the lore aspect that they have behind it. And they are slow to execute, but they've been around for a while, man. And the community trusts them. So I don't think it's a bad play. Or was a bad play. I don't know if I would pick it up now, but
Now I am looking on HelloMoon.com. Of course, or HelloMoon.io. Please do not go to .com. HelloMoon.io, and I'm looking on the smart money inflow, which is always a pretty good indicator of everything, and it's topping the smart money inflow. So maybe people know something that we don't. Along with that is Galactic Geckos, Cats on Crack, and Degen Fat Cats, which seems to be a stable coin at this point, around 15.9. So. Look, there are plays going on in the NFT space right now. There's plays not only in NFTs, but the SPL tokens that go with them. Some of the biggest movers we've seen, Taiyo, Blocksmith Labs, and Stoned Ape Crew all have SPL tokens attached to them. One thing I do want to touch on real quick is SPL tokens are a very interesting case study. We had a lot of Ponzi-nomics back in the day. We seen Mindfolk is like the first example that comes to mind, where Boryoku would be my second one that definitely, has seen a major pullback, and it was just kind of like it was a Ponzi-nomics. That's, I mean, like key Ponzi-nomics right there, where people were just talking about how much money they made versus the utility that was actually attached to the token. So
I remember living that space with Excel sheets every day, showing your passive returns. I mean, it's euphoria. I mean, that's taking a step back and help a trader, right? That's a sign right there of euphoria, right? That's something outrageous, and everyone's doing it, right? So
absolutely, Joe. And no, I would say if you're writing down Excel sheets of all the tokens and talking about how much money you can make over the next month, that sounds a lot like Time Wonderland or Invictus or any of those DeFi 2.0s, right? That we're promising 1,000 to like 3 million% APR. You're not going to get that, right? So. But it is nice to see these SPL tokens. And one of the things that, I was talking with some other big names about is the reason SPL tokens are so interesting, especially when they have really good utility, is that if they need VC funding, right? VCs want tokens more than they want NFTs. The reason being is liquidity. It's much easier to dump your tokens or to exchange them very seamlessly, whereas NFTs have a lot of illiquidity. So that would be one thing I'd watch out for, is some of these plays. And I think Soul Gods actually has a token as well that is tradable. Maybe I might be mistaken on that, but I'm pretty sure they have an Ohm token and then another one that is not tradable.
So they have a God token, which will peg to the amount of Ohm depending on market volatility and liquidity. So say you have one God token and you go to sell it, but there's a shit ton of sell pressure that day. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
My French. There's a lot of sell pressure that day. You'll get less owned for that God, right? And then vice versa in direct relationship with liquidity. So, I mean, I like that. I like the model. I like that it's different, and I like the paradigm behind it, right? Trying to create almost a stable-like environment, stable coin almost for the game to use it as a utility token within itself. But we're in this space, we're just degens, right? We want the liquidity, we want our USDC value. I don't care what anybody says. And that's what teams really have to bake in, right? I don't care how grand your scheme is. they're going to go get liquidity with that token. So I see that he's kind of putting that on the forefront. So, I mean, there's a possibility there. So we'll see. Smart Money seems to love it. And Bison, I just want to shout you out for that $3 load, because I posted it after your buy, but that $3 load point is like sitting right on an ABC move. I just posted it. So that alone, that re-entry there could really pay off greatly. So that was a great entry, man.
Yeah, we'll see if it plays out, man. I mean, we don't have a crystal ball here. What trading is, and why I like it way better than any other gambling or sports betting or anything like that, is that we can use indicators, we can use charts and analytics and stuff to make it a more probable move. And what I saw there was a high probability of winning that swing trade. So look, it played out. I got to capture some profit on that. I got to get a nice little 101 edition from the profit. It was a win-win for me. So I'm happy with it, but there are still moves to be made. Yep. So
are you guys both sitting on your dust? Are you both sitting on 375?
Oh yeah. Yeah, bro. I'm chilling on it. I'm
nice.
not
so
even.
You guys are chilling.
Yeah,
everything
dude.
on top is just a trade for you guys, like liquidity.
Yeah. I loaded up about a. I loaded up about 1,000. When actually Dorian and I were just like chatting it up on Twitter like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, where we're like, yo, this is the most obvious play in all of history. And I was like scared of how obvious it was. And I talk about it all the time. It just took a while to play out just because of, like we said, the timeline got disturbed with Duppies to Utes, pushing it back a little bit more. And now we're seeing it play out. So it does take patience, and that's hard for a lot of NFT spaces, right? I mean, we want everything to happen like overnight, whereas it took about a month or two, and it was very liquid. Yeah.
The way I approach things is like, I don't have time to chase around a whole bunch of mints. It's like, it's too time consuming, and the amount of effort you put forth isn't worth the return. While like it might take a little bit longer, like 2 months, but within 2 months, I haven't been trading dust as you guys. I'm not a good trader. I don't know TA, but I do know upcoming catalysts. So it's like, I got a huge bag around $1 and rolled that up to about 180 and sold. Did I sell the top? Of course not. I'll never sell the top, but I did hit my price goal of what I set out to do initially. And not only that, I still have enough dust for both my Utes. So I'm good. While everybody's paying 40 plus sold for their Utes, I paid 10, 11 sold for mine. So I'm chilling.
Bro, yeah, and I recouped that cost basis in profit on the 1,000 I bought, right? I was just selling a little bit by a little bit on the way up. And it's now I get to mint Utes for free. So it is essentially, right? I cover my cost basis. We got all that dust sitting in there. I'm chilling. So I'm happy with how the play turned out. Look, if the re-entry on this 3.1 turns out sour, I don't think it will. Too many bullish catalysts coming up, then so be it. At least I took profit. I still was in massive profit on this dust trade.
So Bison, just to help make you feel a little bit better about that, the smart money inflow for SPL tokens on Hello Moon was not showing dust. Dust had the capitulation. Everyone can have a reason why. I tied it to New York opening up, East Coast, us, where I'm located, opening up, people speculating on suspensions, got a little bit scared, called it a cascade, and then order books are thin because most people that are buying dust at the moment are going market. So just a little of a sell cascade caused a quick dump down on radium limit books that got brought back up. However, right when dust hit around $2.80, you saw dust flash instantly up on the smart money inflow. And then if you go to SolScan, you can see the top 10 wallets of dust accumulating in that $2.60 to $3 zone. So guys, if they're buying then, they're not looking to sell tomorrow, right? Even if dust breaks 3 again, right? So just don't get chopped up, right? Don't be emotional. Dorian and Bison did it great. They got their 375. They don't need it. They're not worried, right? Anything off top, cool. If it pumps, I'll make my couple $100. I'll make my $1,000. I'm cool because I have my Utes and I have liquidity even stashed here in my Ute, right? So it's beautiful, guys. I just love hearing this, and I love that you guys are sharing this because, I mean, this is what this show's all about. So big ups to you guys, man.
Yeah.
Yo. I do want to take a little victory lap on that scrap, though, man. I know people probably thought I was insane, man. Like, oh, this guy's talking about scrap. It's only been downward momentum since his all-time high of 6. But it's like, once again, you got to start thinking about what catalysts are coming up and how can that affect the price of scrap. And it's like my thesis played out recently. Yeah, it took a little bit longer even than I expected, but boom, got a quick 2x. I don't know what it's going to do here. And people, it's interesting that people always ask, Dorian, is this a good time to buy now? Dog, I have no idea. The best time to buy was a couple weeks ago when it was going down or already at its low.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was another one of those things. Dorian and I I tweeted out that after dusk comes scrap, and then I was talking with Dorian about some, recording stuff, and I was like, hey, by the way, do you know if scrap translates to graphite? I was like, is it a 101 thing? Because I'm hearing mixed things. He goes, bro, I got a whole Taiyo video coming out. I've already called this on scrap. I was like, no kidding. Dude, we keep like synchronizing on that. So it's probably a good thing. I do need to step back and make sure we're checking ourselves, Dorian, because we cannot be so simpatico all the time.
I know, right?
But moving on, we do have news. Of course, we got to talk about DeGods and Utes. It would not be a show without them. They are moving the market, not only the Solana NFT market, but we are talking about Ethereum now too, because they are now a top 3 project, have jumped Azuki and Doodles, and are now the top 3. I think they are behind Macy and Basie as far as, and crypto, or the punks as well. So, dude, what a humongous leap forward for Solana NFTs. Yeah. You love to see it, but there's some conspiracy theories going on here. The Twitter accounts have gone down for both DeGods and Utes and Ute List and everything like that. Now, there was some speculation as far as like, is Twitter doing this? Is Basie doing this? Which I think is hilarious. But I want to say Fast to God was actually the one who pointed it out on Twitter that, look, there's some terms and conditions that apply when it comes to having a bunch of IP or a bunch of accounts linked to the same IP address. And all of them are working in the DeGods house right now in LA. So it was probably one of those things where Twitter picked it up. They're trying those anti-botting measures, and eventually it caught up with them. So do not fear. This is just a Twitter, mishap, right? This is just IP addresses. We are here to tell you that this is not FUD, that they are not rugging, that this isn't some sort of conspiracy. It is literally just Twitter terms and conditions that they're trying to crack down on botting from multiple or a single IP address. So personally, I would say, get a VPN, DeGods team, make sure that you're linking to other IP addresses, maybe different routers or something like that. But they just need to buckle down on that. Nonetheless, it is great to see what DeGods is doing. We have had a little bit of a pullback to 575, but dude, they broke, what was it? It was like 640, I think.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Dude, I mean,
I think it was 600 plus. I know that for sure.
Yeah, let's check it out real quick. It was 600, right? Hello Moon's saying it was 590, but I definitely remember 600 was up on there. So, dude, there's so much going on with DeGods. I mean, they're moving the markets right there. Yeah. Utes is obviously popping off as we continue to see dust go up. That it's going to cost a little bit more, and I don't know what the number of wallets is that has 375 now, but I guarantee you it's not all 15K Ute listers, and we don't even have the full Ute list announcement.
And Bison, exactly. And what people are failing to realize too is that there's going to be inevitably people who have Ute lists and don't mint. Either they miss the time. It's just going to happen. And what happens to those Ute lists, right? Well, there's going to be a waiting list that those get funneled down. So these people on the waiting list go, oh crap, I don't have but I have this Ute list in front of me. I need dust. Boom. Right. So another buying pressure. I mean, dust is sitting at 333 right now. I mean, we got 8 and alive under $3. I mean, I have people DMing me, almost 24/7 asking when they should buy for their Ute list. I'm not giving financial advice. I just feel bad human to human because I know a lot of these Ute listers, smaller in Philippines and these other countries, that their wages don't even, that's a 3-month wage for them to mint, right?
Yeah,
so like
$1,000.
So to human to human, I really want to get them the best entry possible, like truly do. But and not financial advice. It's just hard. I think the FOMO is going to keep kicking. People are not remembering, even though it's right in your face. DeGods roadmap, Dust Labs roadmap, immediately day after Utes list. So I mean, guys, if you don't want to blow your load at once, pause, no problem. Get some exposure at least, right? 10%, 12% in. Get your exposure.
Yeah, we've been preaching DCAing for sure. So go ahead, Dorian.
Yeah, Joe, I do relate to you on that. I do feel bad for the people who got Ute listed. and who are in other countries who don't have higher wages and aren't able to, you know, afford $1K in like for a mint. But at the same time too, man, it's like this still wasn't a surprise. Like this was 2 months. Like we knew about Duppies, and then Duppies changed to Utes, and even when that happened, Dust was still sitting around 130. So it's just like it's like there was ample time for you to accumulate what you needed to in order to mint. And once again, it was like the most obvious play in the world. It's like, even if I don't get a Ute list, this thing is going to pump because everybody else needs a Ute list. So if you did miss out on this and you can't, and you got priced out of the mint, it's like, maybe you should try to take this moment to reflect on like your trading strategy, to really learn from this and take this as an opportunity to like educate yourself on how to proceed better in the future.
Yeah. And look, it is one of those things that, you know, you could try risking it right now. You see the chart for Dust and you're like, well, you know, that's pretty exorbitant. Maybe I'll go ahead and try secondary. And I would say that secondary is probably going to be, dude, this is what a lot of capital has been sidelined for ages. And we started seeing some plays happening within the NFT market, most notably ABC, which we will get to in a second. But we're starting to see huge names be listed, right? We got Allen Iverson, Howie Mandel, Lil Baby, Wayne Rooney, all in the same day, and Beats by Nav. If you guys don't know who Nav is, he's actually an artist as well. He's come out with some singles, but he did Drake's Back to Back. He was actually the producer on that, as well as some other notable songs. But yeah, dude, I mean, 5 in one day. And I don't think that's going to be the last one, dude. Everybody was losing their mind when that I want to say he's an Argentinian, like U23 Manchester United player got listed. Dude, we're talking Wayne Rooney now. Like, that is huge. So the legend himself, he is Manchester United. So it's one of those things where people are going to see those names, and I think we're really going to start seeing a lot of emotion playing into this. We do have some questions as far as what we think Utes is opening up with. And I know Dorian talked a little bit about how we think we're going to go towards 250 after a few days. I am curious to hear your thoughts, Joe, first and foremost.
Yeah, so my thoughts are, if they lay out the incentivization to keep your dead god plus Ute for the ETH airdrop, and they make that clear, I can see that, Dorian. I can see 700-800 DeGod. I can see 150 to 250 Ute for sure, especially if it's clear and precise, right? People know what they're looking forward to, know the utility of keeping both, and it's an actual huge like an incentivization to do so. I think we really can see that happening. And I think just now we're seeing a literal trickle of liquidity, and see what's happening already. Like, just imagine a small faucet, maybe a couple drops, right? So I do think there's an actual game theory for that, for a 250 floor price. Yeah, I would be remiss to say that there wasn't.
Right. Dorian, what do you think it opens up at?
I'm thinking it opens up on the conservative end, 70 to 80. And on the higher end, I think like 100, 110. Like, whitelists are going OTC right now. I know people out there buying 120 to 150, which makes sense. Like, I think the back-to-back announcements on following the consecutive days of the Utes mint, it's like those are intentionally set there for a purpose. It's like Frank is like having that information there. So it's like, people are going to flip during the initial pump or whatever. But when that announcement comes out, I think there's going to be a secondary pump and a tertiary pump. So it's like, I really think we're probably going to hit on the next couple days after the mint. Like I said, I think you can break 250, man.
Yeah. No, I think I'm crawling into the same boat. I think slowly but surely I'm coming around to that thought process, mainly because we've been in a bear market for quite some time now, that it's like hard to break that mentality of like, yo, you take a 2x anytime you can get it right now, versus like back in October to December, where everything was going 10x, and it was like, if it didn't, that was a failure. So it's just playing the mentality game. But I think so much capital has been sidelined. We've seen what's happened with Dust. Utes is literally a Dust leverage play. Now I want to talk about that a little bit, because the people, when this originally started, this bull run started, we had about 8,000 wallets that actually had 375 Dust in it. So you're already talking about 7,000 wallets that are going to need to buy 375 Dust. And they've done that over the course of this. Now, not all of them have. So you have varying price entries to their Dust. So we have a few game factors to play into here, right? We have the DeGods and DeGods who actually get the dust for free, whether they parsed it off and sold the bottom or if they've been holding on to it. And this is literally a free mint for them, like literally, or they had to rebuy. That's one factor, right? You had the people on the sidelines who probably figured they were going to get dust or Ute listed, and maybe they waited a while. Maybe they bought it at the bottom. That's another factor, right? And then you got the people who are just FOMOing dust because they think it's a really good play. So there's a lot that goes into it. With all these factors said, there's so much variability. Now, I think this minimum goes for 2x. And if we look at the dust cost right now, it's about 40 SOL. So I would agree with Dorian that we open up at least at 80 right now. And I think that dust goes higher before the weekend, right? I do think that we see a little bit more price action to the top side. I think we crossed that $4 threshold. And after that, it's really up in the air. We could rock it up to, $6 or new all-time highs, or we could see reversion back. It really depends on the announcements that they bring this weekend with Dust Labs, with the DeGods new roadmap, and Utes as well. There's a lot that goes into it. So we're now entering that range where I think this most recent pullback on Dust was probably the last big pullback that we're going to see before going into the weekend. And then it's wild, wild west, right? I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just holding on to that little bit of bag that I just bought in this morning and just seeing what happens. Joe, do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have any inside alpha? Because I know you're part of the DeGods crew that has been leaked that may not be public knowledge, or any sort of teasers or tidbits.
Yeah, so teasers wise, so full utility of Utes itself and DeGods hasn't been laid out yet. Full utility of infrastructures that we're already using and don't realize it are going to be rolled out by Dust Labs, and how that's going to put pressure onto Dust. So there's a lot of what it's going to take practicing delayed gratification, and that's the hardest part, right? So I think without saying too much, is just trust in the team and trust in practicing delayed gratification, and I'm almost positive you won't be upset at the end of this.
Well said, man.
Yeah. I've taken enough profit that I'm allowed to ride this dust wave and just see what happens.
Smart.
I mean, literally, like, imagine fading Frank right now, dude. He literally tripled his already 200 SOL floor in a bear market.
I mean, DeGods are worth $200 million. We're top 6,000 companies within the whole entire world, right? Like, that's 200 million. So that puts it in perspective for you guys. Like, this is a 10-year plan, right? They have legit a 10-year plan. I'm not kidding, no cap. 10-year plan, right? It's different. They're different. Their paradigm is different. And I think, what do you guys think though, right? I think it's going to be hard for people not to take that instant liquidity. But then again, they're missing out on the 6 months later. How did you get a DeGod? How do you have all these DeGods? How do you, right? It's because of the conviction. Do you practice delayed, or do you take the liquidity right away and then hope to make a play off of that? So, I mean, man, I'm just so excited because it's bringing back that love, that DGen feel to the space, right? Because there's so many game theories you could play in it. Or you can just hold it, stick it in a ledger, and know that the team's going to do their thing. Like Soul Sorcerer was just talking today on one of our East spaces. He was on there with me. And he said that there's legit two teams. People that are working on Utes want to take over DeGods floor price. The guys working on DeGods are making sure that won't happen, right? So just there's already competition within the team itself to be the best, right? So all these little nuances just have me hyper bullish, man.
Yeah. That competition, bro. I love it.
That you said all that perfectly, man. And what makes me even more bullish on DeGods and Utes, and especially in the future, is that the time that they're taking to establish, file patents for their IP. My boy Guitar, shout out to you, man, wrote an excellent thread on some of the patents that Frank has filed for DeGods and Utes. So they're seeking to like have a SaaS suite of tools, so like software as a service. They're also seeking to establish their brand similar to like what Disney and Microsoft. So they're like, Guitar did an excellent job laying out all the different patents that they're filing to really try to take their brand mainstream. And Frank having so many connections on the ETH side through Gary V, Ice Cube, because he brought the big three, man, those connections are going to be invaluable going forward, dude. I'm so bullish on DeGods. I know I might be priced out of DeGods, but that's why I'm not letting go of my Utes, man. You can't, you got to pry it from my cold dead fingers.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, look, we missed the first one where, dude, I remember seeing DeGods go from 3 to 30, and I was like, bro, that seems a little rich for me. What are they doing? And then I saw the YouTube with Mark Colser, who is the homie, dude. I love Mark.
Yeah,
he's actually one of the ones who shared that there was 17 steps on their whiteboard. He got to visit the DeGods house, and we were at step 2. So just shows you how much action they have. And I'll pull up the tweet at some point, but yeah, dude, they have a lot. They have a huge game plan. And I would not be surprised, Joe, that they actually do have a 10-year plan, which is insane to think about, dude. 5 years.
And Bison, it's insane the amount of capital they've allowed to just the legal team, right? The Yuga Labs legal team and all these new young lawyers that they're building on their team. That you want to be spending that allocation. That overhead would not be put in place unless you have a true understanding of capital preservation and how to build a business, right? Kevin, the guy he hired from Dust Labs, has done SaaS, SaaS businesses like Netflix and all these other businesses that came off of this pyramid product for 20 years. So I mean, he's just flooding the team like an actual, like if you looked at Tesla with these acquisitions of people onto their team, you go, wow, that's going to knock it 1 to 2 points up the mark, right? So it's all these bullish things are coming together, but we seem like we're just like, yay, DeGods, I'm excited for Solana, right? All my other plays, all my fun, right? That's what I'm excited for. So I really think it's a net positive for all of us, and that's why I think everyone is also excited, even if they don't have a use list, right? Because they understand the liquidity net positive.
Yeah, well said. I actually joined us. I think Kevin was on the Hella Moon space the other morning. It was Monday morning, and just talking about his 22 years of SaaS experience, which is insane to bring that to an NFT project. And just kind of, not only are they bridging the ETH to Sol kind of markets right there, they're bringing in a ton of other people, celebrities and everything like that, and they're also bringing Web2 experience to it. So I'm very, like, the synergy there is something we have not seen in the NFT space from anybody, not even BayC, not even Yuga. Seriously. I think Yuga was first mover, and they were the ones who kind of elevated the CryptoPunk standard to the next echelon. I think DeGods are doing it just that much further, right? So, all right, enough about this DeGod. This is basically a DeGod space at this point, bro. We talk about it so much just because they're doing the most in the market. It's not even close. But I will say, one project that I was completely wrong about, I said it was the second one, is ABC. ABC I thought was just going to be a fun project that, I was like, it seems kind of, I don't want to say it was a cash grab, because HG does not need cash, right? Like, the man has deployed so much capital into the space that, dude, if you want to release just a fun, immutable project, he can. ABC has actually announced, dude, under promising and over delivering. They've announced Hadeswap. Hadeswap. Do we want to call it Hadeswap? Which is very interesting. Now, I don't know if you guys know what SudoSwap is, but over in Ethereum, basically, it is a decentralized market maker. People can come in with Ethereum or stable coin assets, if you want to use stables, as well as NFTs itself, and you can basically make your own liquidity pool. So you can take in Bored Ape yacht clubs. Let's say you have 10 of them, right? And you list them, essentially, you kind of list them into the pool, as well as a Ethereum equivalent. So you're basically creating your own liquidity pool. They basically made that over here on Solana. I'm very excited to see how it plays out. I'm very curious to see how it plays out, but it is part of the ABC community, right? So we're seeing this ABC that had no roadmap, no Discord, no nothing. The community's already started a Discord. They're getting some insane people behind it, as well as coming out with these cool utilities. Guys, do you have any introspection on what is happening with Hadeswap or ABC? Dorian, we'll start with you.
Yeah. The idea of Hadeswap sounds pretty cool, man, but I think I'm just going to give it more time. I still think there's a lot of hype and excitement around it that's really driving a lot of this price action. So I'm just kind of in the wait and see mode. If I miss it and it moons, guess what? I missed it. It won't be the first time. So it's just like, I'm just really observing, man. I'm not like fading it, but I'm also not super supporting of it too, because like everybody's like, oh, this is the next X, Y, and Z, as long as the price is going up. But as soon as there's one downturn, all that community strength and hype turns right around real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Joe, do you have any insight? Did you buy back in? Are you kind of sitting on the sidelines with this? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I did not buy back in. I do think that he has obviously the infrastructure and liquidity and connections to make this thing happen. I like what he's doing. I know that it's an idea from ETH. I can't remember who created on ETH, but they were able to accrue like almost like I think $100 to $200 million of valuation as soon as they dropped this type of model. So I know he had the same type. HGA had the same type of deal with his swapping his bears almost. So this was like the next step after that whole kind of infrastructure he had built. So I mean, yeah, this is bullish. It's different. I'm not FOMOing in at 9-10 sold. It could go to 20, go to 30. That's how I'm a trader. I just have my strict rules, and I do get FOMO, but I just know how to turn it off because I know there'll be the next play. There'll always be that next play. It feels like there never will be. Then you wake up one morning and you just see it, right? So like. I'm good ups for them. I hope it brings liquidity in the market. I hope it gets people excited about Solana and cross chain. But yeah, for me, I'm chilling. Maybe 5-6 soul entry. Yeah, not financial advice for sure, but not 9 to 10 for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't have enough price history to kind of give an accurate representation of where I would enter in. But true. I would say about that 5 to 6 range sounds about right. Where if I see a pullback, I may think about it, but I do think there's other plays in the space. You know, it's one of those things that, look, if I missed it, so be it. There's going to be other plays, right? There's going to be other plays, but I do think ABC is doing really cool stuff. We've seen the success of SudoSwap, and basically the incentives for these market makers in this liquidity pool is that they actually get to take the fees from these swaps and everything like that. So there's a lot of incentive alignment, and I think that's really bullish for the space. NFTs do need liquidity. I'd say that's the one big thing that's stopping a lot of institutional investors or VC fundraising is very liquidity. True. It's very hard for them. Like, you know, if attention completely spurns from that project, it's very hard to exit a position, especially if they, you know, mass buy, let's say 10, 20, 100 of these NFTs. So if they can execute this and it is like SudoSwap, it's incredibly bullish, not only for ABC, but the Solana ecosystem in general. So I'm rooting from them, but I'm rooting from them on the sidelines. And I will say, if you guys faded my call as far as ABC and just, you know, saying it's a kind of a meme play, congratulations. I was wrong, and that's okay. I'm all right to be wrong. But I do think it's a very cool concept, and I'm excited. Dude, HG is showing that a team should be organized like this. I love the fact that he is under-promising and over-delivering. So congrats to HG. Seriously, this is huge. I love to see it, especially in a bear market that builders are building and they're not over-promising like some of these other projects. Guys, I think that's about it as far as what I wanted to talk about. We already talked about the SPL tokens. Like I said, we're seeing a lot of pop-offs. I would be eyeing entries into some of these projects that do have SPL tokens attached to them with sound fundamental utility that goes along with it, and then good burn mechanisms as well. Obviously, Dust is like the pinnacle of it. We've seen DeGods. We're seeing Mint with Dust. And everything that comes with Utes as well. He's announcing the full utility here shortly. I think he said over the next 24 hours, but I would imagine that this whole Twitter fiasco probably has them scrambling more on that side first. So it may be longer than 24 hours, but we should see more information when it comes to utility. Guys, I'm going to open up the floor. Is there any other plays that you see on this market? We're going to start with you first, Dorian.
Yeah, man. One of the plays that I'm pretty happy about is Liberty Square. Huge shout out to you, Joe. If you didn't put this on my radar back when it was like 1.2, I would have never swept in. So I picked up 5 then. I read the white paper finally over the weekend. And man, I swept another 6 back around 2.5, but now they're like up to 2.9 now. And I think that's really going to continue to run, especially during September through December, man. They have so much stuff coming, dude. You're going to be able to like burn 10 squirrels to get some custom 1-of-1 pieces if you're selected. You're going to be able to, I think they're like doing custom skateboards right now. I know they're working with several 1-of-1 artists. They got some lore some lore going on that, some custom lore that's going to be happening within the community. But from like those 3 months are going to be insane for Liberty Square. And I'm looking forward to everything that they have planned. Yeah,
for sure. Joe, what do you got going?
Yeah, very well put. Yeah, Liberty, man. I just really like the founder. really like the team itself. Yeah, they actually have three different collections coming. You have to have lock and keys basically for each one. And the lore itself won't be complete until the third drops, and you won't know their full picture. I just love that. I mean, there's Las Vegas, NFT Vegas coming up, and only the three teams that are basically there that are allowing re-entries is like Liberty Square, DeGods, and I forget the third one. I think it might be Monkey DAO. So like, would that be, it's just all these little nuances you have to look at as an investor. Like, it's not all TA, it's not all FA. There's nuances within how people navigate and network, who they know and what they're doing. And like, so yeah, Liberty Square is checking all my boxes at the moment. And it's funny that I'm starting to see actually mainstream influencers shill it now, which isn't my favorite. I know they don't have the best intentions, but when I was talking about it around one SOL, I just truly wanted them to get their royalties and GGs to the team, right? Because they deserved it. So for that, I'm happy for the team for sure. They deserve their royalties coming in this week. So I hope they keep going.
Yeah, for sure. No, I do think Liberty is one of those sleeping giants, dude. It's just like accumulation. I see all these wicks to the downside just get gobbled up on the chart. So for me, that's really bullish. We saw a lot of similar price action with Chacon before they went up. We saw it with Vandals before they went up. So it just feels like one of those plays that at the moment just going to bide its time. And then when it goes up, you're going to be too late. One play I forgot to talk about is Duck Punks, which is the number one meme project. I do want to shout out Nick for mentioning that in chat, because we do have a lot of Sams that are involved with it as well. Before we get into Duck Punks, so I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't seen, Cyber Samurai is doing a giveaway where you get one raffle ticket for each Samurai you buy. So if you want to join that, we have until tomorrow, September 1st, if I'm not mistaken, Dorian. Actually, is that? Yeah. That's Thursday.
No.
Is that?
You have till Thursday, like at 11:59 PST, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So awesome. There's still time.
Yeah. So you guys have time to buy a Cyber Samurai. One Cyber Samurai does not just get you Utes whitelist, it gets you the full Ute. So we cover the cost as well. Make sure if you guys do want to take that chance and join a great community. I cannot talk enough about Cyber Samurai. I do think they are a great play, and it's something I've been accumulating for a while now. Is definitely a good play, but not financial advice. Duck Punks, is run by a lot of community members. So one that I know right off the top of my head is Forculus. Forculus is a huge Cyber Samurai holder. He's a huge crypto dick butt holder as well. And everybody laughs at dick butts, but look, they popped off. He was shouting them out from the heavens, and then they went up to like 6 ETH, dude. That's a huge floor price when you compare it to Solana terms. That's like 240 Solana. So just want to put that on everybody's radar. Maybe it's a meme project, maybe it's not. We're seeing a nice pullback on that. Maybe a good time to start scoping out some entries if you do want part of the best meme collection, in my opinion, that's going on right now. Wiz is saying, keep it on the DL. No, I'm not going to. I think Duck Punks has enough good community members. They did release a good thread as far as, look, they're just trying to be a meme, and memes make the world go round, especially in a bear market. We've seen a lot of pop off with crypto dick butts, and I would say that's the best comparable, because we do have a lot of crypto dick butts actually making the transfer to Duck Punks, or at least buying them up. So there's one. I've talked about it enough. And I do want to say I have a vested interest in Remnants, but look, with all the stuff they have going on, with the massive update that makes it a really fun playable game again, I know we have a ton going on behind the scenes as well. Not financial advice, but under 5 SOL is FUD. Under 10 SOL, probably FUD. Under 20 SOL, just keep knocking it up, bro. I seriously think this is one of the best plays that you can make. And if anybody's going to make NFT gaming work on Solana, it's going to be the Remnants team. I know full hand that GigaBrains we just onboarded are insanely talented, have insane reach, and they work behind the scenes. They're not even big people on Twitter that you would know. So just keep that on everybody's radar. Remnants is definitely a play. And if we see SPL tokens pop off, they do have it. It's the CMP token, or camp token, is definitely one I would be watching. There may be some liquidity in the future. Who knows? But definitely some plays there. As far as other pieces, I'm still looking at the one-on-one space. I shared the edition I got from Low Fronts, which I've shared 2 episodes ago. I think Low Fronts is a great project and has some really connected members who are creating those. But yeah, we popped off with DGen Poet. I know Joe joined me on that with the Pokemon, and GG on selling those pretty much at the Pico top. Because man, they're not seeing liquidity these days, but I think that DP will continue adding utility to it. I think Proteon's coming out with his next Portrait of the Aftermath this week. Good luck to you, Dorian. I know you're probably going to be trying for that one as well.
Fingers crossed.
That's right. So, and then I also want to give a shout out to Scooby Soul. So Scooby Soul is a 101 artist on Exchange. He actually has a piece going right now that is incredibly cheap, but he's a beat maker. And so one of the reasons I'm bullish on Scooby is because I think 101 music or music NFTs in general is something that's very unexplored, and that there's a huge bit of alpha that if we nail the model right, and I think Scooby's trying for it. I actually messaged him last night. He let me know that he has an auction going on right now. If he can get it going on, dude, the music NFTs, there's so much promise there. We just need to find the right model for it. So right now he has Cloud9 going on auction for 1 Sol. It's the highest bid right now. It is a great piece. I do own his Genesis piece, which cost me 8 Sol. So just to give you a little heads up, there's probably some alpha there. But yeah, no, there's 101s that are still popping off. Exchange Art's pretty holding steady at 10K volume over the past 7 days, as well as Form Function, which Magic Eden, please add those stats to your market statistics. I would love to see it, just so we have a full analysis of the market. But that's about what I'm looking at right now. I think that 101s will continue to have this nice little uptick, especially in addition. So we've seen a lot of really good additions lately. Reza Afshir, who I own one of his pieces, and I missed his edition. It's so sick too. It was 2 Sol and now selling for about 3.7. We've seen Ben come out with some. Dude, there's so many good editions that are popping off right now. Utopia came out with one. And I will try to write a thread as far as all the artists I'm looking at. And if you see an edition pop up from them, I would probably grab it, right? This is a very cheap entry to some of the best artists that are in the space. And there's a lot more liquidity when it comes to editions.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what you were saying, like another project just came to mind, but a lot of people are kind of forgot about Bubblegoose and Catalina. I think those are 2 projects that you should definitely keep your eye on. They've both been a little bit quiet right now, but as soon as they launch an announcement, the price is going to take off. It's not going to pump automatically like, wow, it's been ranging. I think Bubblegoose is like 5.3 or 5.85, but that's an amazing entry, man. And Catalina as well. It's like I wouldn't fade either of these projects because it's not going to take much to see price action, price movement on these projects.
Yeah, no, for sure. Wisest Wizard, definitely. Look, Remnants is just a fun project. Schmoky McWrecked says, digging the show very much. Awesome to hear no shill, thoughtful analysis like this. Thank you, Schmoky. I really do appreciate it. Renjith, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, says, how is AI Labs doing? That actually brings me to a good point. And one project I did miss and meant to cover, Infected Mob. So I think AI Labs is another one that's doing kind of art reworks where they partner up with certain projects. Infected Mob actually did that jungle rework, right? So they worked with Primates that did that jungle rework. I saw the floor price. They're actually in one of the top 24 or top 12 collections on Magic Eden yesterday, I think. And the floor price on that was 65 Sol. Now, Infected Mob has gone to 9 Sol, I think. It's been on a steady incline. That might be one that if you see a pullback, I'm definitely keeping it on my radar. And that might be one that, look, the art rework meta is here. We've seen it with a lot of projects. Vandals has announced it. Chacon's announced it. Divine Dogs. Where are we at with Divine Dogs? That was alpha that was shared on the last one.
Yeah, I think it's holding steady around like 4.5 Sol right now. I don't think we'll see any price action until they get closer to their art relaunch or whatnot. But I really think the fact that they have high blinks on that doing their launch is what's going to set them apart, man. That's like John Lay's redoing somebody's collection. That collection is going to receive a lot of attention just because who's doing the artwork. So I purchased a couple of those and I'm still holding on to them until my thesis plays out that high blinks is going to bring a lot of volume to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Samuk, I hope I'm pronouncing that right again, is saying, oh man, I have not seen more previews of just the shoulders up. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen of Jacon. He's saying Arcan Fu killed it, and that is unreal. I can't wait to see what the face looks like too, but that is some good looking art right there. Arcan Fu and Jinraf are both the artists that are kind of overseeing the art overhaul. Dude, this looks really good. And if we continue to see previews like this, I think Jacon's going to run. And look, if Vandals is more of a utility play that has some art rework to it, I actually like Vandals' kind of outlook as far as what they're doing with the sewers and their token itself. That might be one that's on the SPL token watch list that has a nice SPL attached to it. Joe, you might have some more insight on Vandals. I know you were in them at one point. I'm not sure if you still are. What's going on with them?
Yeah, so I still have like an Oni mask, and I still have a few things. To be honest with you, this is pure honesty. I never guttered any of them or anything like that because I'm strictly keeping them for liquidity purposes because I love the team and I love what they're doing. But I'm a DeGod Dust maxi at the moment, all risk on assets really, except for DeGods and Dust. So big respect to everybody. But yeah, if I'm in your project now, I'm most likely going to be taking some profits with them.
Hey,
so yeah,
honestly, bro,
it's just the truth of it.
Yep. No, I would pretty much echo that sentiment where look, we're still in a bear market. So it looks like we lost Joe, but that's actually perfect timing because we're about done. Is there any other plays that you guys are looking for right now that may be on everybody or should be on everybody's radar?
Yeah. Potentially, man, oil, scrap, Gen 2s. I really still think these are going to run a lot once graphite comes around. So yeah, they saw a slight pump. So I'd just be keeping my eye out if there's a pullback to try to look at entry points for these projects. But yeah, those are the last ones. I know I've been shouting out several projects today.
Yeah, no, it's good because you also brought up, and we tweeted about this. We've been talking about this where we said that Dust and DeGods and Utes was going to go first. Then Taiyo and oil and everything in that ecosystem was going to run. And then, we did talk about Wagme Beach. You mentioned it briefly, Dorian, that I think right now they're below mint right now on bubblegoose, which that's a good sign. That's a good scooping sign for me. And I would not fade that team. I think that after pilots goes, we're really going to start seeing some taking off of Wagme Beach as well as some of these other projects we talked about today. So
I agree.
That about does it for us. Dorian, any closing remarks before we head on out?
No, man, nothing from my end. One last shout out to you for making that U list. I'm super happy for you, man.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. I'm happy to join Utopia with the rest of the homies. I hope everybody else watching this also gets Ute list. And just a reminder too, if you have been value add to this space, there's still plenty of Ute lists to go around. I think they're only halfway through, so don't get discouraged. Let it ride out. I'm sure that you will have that chance to get into Utopia as well. And get that Ute list opportunity, especially once they figure out this whole Twitter debacle. We'll start seeing the Ute list thing pop off. But yeah, I think that about does it. We covered a lot of plays, a lot of SPL tokens, a lot of information going on in the market. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, we'll be on Tuesday, Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern time as usual. And we'll start bringing up guests too. A little bit of alpha for you guys. We already have Hello Moon and Easy Eats lined up for the show. Stay tuned for that. We will have some more projects jumping on as well, trying to get some artists that are doing well in the space, doing net positives, and we'll just keep going, man. We'll just keep grinding. I appreciate you guys for growing the stream. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment on YouTube. Go ahead and retweet the stream on Twitter if you can, and follow us on Twitter as well. We now have an official account, RareFUD Radio, all one word, as well as Dorian, myself, and Joe. All the links are in YouTube itself. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you